Hey there my peeps, so I haven't done a wishlist video for the 2K series in a very long time, which I used to do on a yearly basis. Whenever a new WWE game would come out, around summertime I'd go ahead and post up a video talking about, actually multiple videos talking about things I'd like to see in the upcoming game. But I don't think I did that for 2K17, and if I did, well, I forgot. But anyways, for this video, I'm gonna go over a bunch of features that I'd like to see either added, fixed, or replaced for WWE 2K18. And as always, with all my wishlist videos, I encourage you guys to go ahead in the comment section and post up what you'd like to see for 2K18. I've seen you guys come up with a lot of good ideas. And if I go ahead and post up another wishlist video for 2K18 going over different stuff, then I might go ahead and feature your comments on that video as I did in the past. Let's start the video, and first up on my wishlist is please fix the online. Online on the WWE games actually used to be enjoyable, and you used to be able to play matches without any lag. Now of course, if you're facing off against somebody with a really bad connection, or you have a bad connection, then yeah, you would have a laggy match. But nowadays, it seems like it doesn't matter whether you have a good connection or not. Every single match has lag, and this has been the case since 2K15. Ever since 2K15 on the current gen consoles, online just hasn't been the same. It's been a mess. For instance, they took out the lobby system and switched it out for this new matchmaking system, which I think they put in to simplify things, but also took out a lot of the options that you had to customize matches to your liking when you would go ahead and create a lobby or search for a lobby. For instance, you can't take a one-on-one match and then customize it, put in no countouts into it, or no, going out the ring, which you could do in the past games. And then something else that they took out was the ability to see which superstar your opponent picks, so you can make a decision based upon that. Sometimes I wanted to see what the opponent picks and then make my decision on who I pick. Maybe the opponent picks the Undertaker, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to go ahead and have an Undertaker versus Sting match, so let me go ahead and pick Sting, or something like that. Well, you can't do that in these games unless it's a private match. You basically pick your superstar, and then it finds an opponent for you, and then that's when you find out who you're facing off against, or which superstar your opponent picked. And speaking of finding opponents, good luck looking for anything other than a one-on-one match. Finding multiple opponents is pretty much impossible. You'll be waiting for a long time. Chances are, before you find an opponent, well, first off, you probably won't even find an opponent. The game's just gonna tell you, hey, you've been waiting for too long, you wanna exit out. Or it's gonna be like, hey, if you want a triple threat match, better off watching it on the WWE Network. You ain't getting one here, at least on online. And what sucks about this is that this wasn't the case with SmackDown vs. Raw 07 to 2K14. You could find triple threat matches, fatal four-way matches, no problem, or even create a lobby yourself and have some people join it shortly after. But this new matchmaking system seems to have just turned off a lot of the online community for the WWE series. And the problems with the online don't just lie in the matches, the competitive side, but also in community creations. Oftentimes, you'll try and download a superstar, arena, whatever, and it'll tell you download has failed, and you've got to try again, or there's some issues with the bandwidth. Basically, ever since the games came over to the PS4 and Xbox One, the online has just gone downhill fast. It's gotten a huge downgrade. And I just want to see it go back to the good old days. I know lobbies aren't really a thing nowadays, it's kind of an older thing. Usually now they have a matchmaking system, kind of like the WWE games have now. But the lobbies, I feel, were good for WWE Online. Like, it fit the game, it just worked right. And it's like they say, why change what works? And I feel it worked back then. And I feel it would still work now, which is why I'd like to see lobbies come back. And also, as far as the download issues in community creations and, the added lag, I think just upping the servers would go ahead and fix that. If this gets fixed, I definitely think that the online player count is going to increase. Now, moving on to the second thing on my list, some people might not like this, but hear me out the entire way here. I want to see Showcase Mode removed. Now, Showcase is basically reliving past WWE moments in the game. You play as the superstars that were involved in these historic moments, and you go ahead and go through a couple of check marks or things that these superstars did during their matches and basically you relive it. It's not like Legends of WrestleMania, or was it WWE All-Stars? I think it was Legends of WrestleMania, where you could go ahead and rewrite history. In this case, you just relive it. But I don't know about you guys, but if I want to relive something, I'd rather go ahead and just watch it back instead of playing these matches where I'm obligated to do this, and that just to copy whatever they did in the ring. And in the case of the WWE games, what I liked about them is every single year you'd have an original storyline in a new season mode. But obviously they took that out and brought in showcase mode instead. Well, actually, after season mode they had Road to WrestleMania, which was still original storylines, and then you had showcase mode. And now here's why I told you guys to hear me out the entire way before going ahead and saying, well, you just want them to take out showcase mode? Well, what are they going to replace it with? Look, I'm not just telling you guys that I'd like to see showcase mode gone. I want it actually to be replaced by the return of season mode. That's right, I want season mode back. I want original storylines back. Instead of playing through what I've watched on WWE in the past, I'd like to play through something completely original, something new that's just in the game. Now, when it comes to what type of season mode that I'd like, whether it's the ones in the earlier games or the one in the later games, either one is fine with me. I think just season mode being back would be better than showcase mode. Hey, if they can keep showcase mode and also bring back season mode, I'm all for it. Go ahead and do that. But I don't think they could go ahead and have season mode, showcase mode, and also Mycareer. For instance, last year, showcase mode was in, but it was in as DLC. It wasn't in the original game. Instead, they chose to focus on other modes, I believe due to a lack of time, so they decided to just go ahead and focus on Mycareer. And that brings me to the other thing on my list, and that is overhauling Mycareer. Mycareer right now gets repetitive really quickly. You face off against the same opponents a lot, over and over and over again. And then also on top of that, climbing up the rankings for a certain championship, actually for all the championships, takes a lot of time. You've got to go through match after match and after match, and it gets repetitive because once again you continue to face off against the same opponents, and then ranking up is just a chore. They had it right, I believe, in WWE 2K18, where climbing up the ranks to get a championship match didn't take you an eternity. But in 2K17, it takes a long time, and let's say you beat the champion in a non-title match, that should guarantee you, well, on WWE TV at least, it pretty much guarantees you a title shot at the next pay-per-view, maybe even next week on Raw or on SmackDown. But in this case, beating the champ in a non-title match, it's pretty much counted as just a normal win. And something like that just doesn't make sense, especially when you're trying to simulate WWE TV and how it is when you're watching WWE. So I think Mycareer could use a bit of tweaking to reduce the repetitiveness, and also to not make it so much of a grind when it comes to climbing up the ranks for a championship. And then here's a suggestion. Every single year for Mycareer, you go ahead and start from the very beginning. You start at NXT as if whatever you did in the past games, in the past Mycareers, just didn't exist, didn't happen. I think an option for the game to go ahead and recognize what you did in the past Mycareer would be pretty cool, so that way you don't start off right away in NXT, or if you do start off in NXT, it's recognized as a return of a superstar instead of an entirely new debut. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest thing that needs to be fixed when it comes to career mode is the repetitiveness, and I think a lot of people will agree with me on that. And now moving on to another mode that I feel should make a comeback in 2K18, and this is the perfect timing because of the brand split, because this is the first WWE game since the brand split. If you guys can guess which mode I'm talking about here, post it in the comment section below. I'm talking about bringing back GM mode. GM mode was kind of like Universe mode, except you'd actually go ahead and compete against another show to get your ratings up and beat that show in terms of ratings, and you play with money, and superstars get injured. Basically, you were the GM, you ran the show, and your goal was to beat the other show. And now that we've got separate Raw and SmackDown rosters again, I think it's the perfect time to bring back GM mode, and you could put it in as an option in Universe mode. Give the people the option to play Universe mode or GM mode with the added features and benefits of Universe Mode, like cutscenes. GM Mode back then didn't have the cutscenes that you have right now with Universe Mode, such as Superstars interfering, cashing in Money in the Bank, and all of that. So if you combine what Universe has now with GM Mode, I think that would be a really good GM Mode. And then if you're someone that doesn't want to deal with contracts, fighting for ratings, injuries, and all of that, you can just go ahead and play traditional Universe Mode. But I think this would be a really good addition. You could have Raw vs. SmackDown, so you either run Raw or you run SmackDown as Kurt Angle or as Daniel Bryan. Or hey, make it even bigger, company versus company, WWE versus WCW, Monday Night Wars all over again competing for the ratings. So, GM Mode, man, I think it's a perfect fit for WWE 2K18, seeing as how this is going to be the first WWE game coming out since the new brand split. And last on this list, it's not a feature, it's not a mode, but I'd like to see WWE come back to Nintendo consoles, more specifically the Nintendo Switch. I understand why they didn't bring the games over to the Wii U. It was a poor selling console for Nintendo, but when it comes to the Switch, it's Nintendo's fastest selling console in the US. On top of that, it's a hot item right now, and they're bringing over NBA 2K18 to the Switch. So why not go ahead and also bring over WWE 2K18, and this would be the first time that they, the first time since the PSP that they have a WWE game on a portable console. It'd also be the first time in 5 years that they release a WWE game on a Nintendo console. If they do bring it to the Switch, just please do not port over the PS3 or 360 version without Mycareer to the Switch. Have the same features as the PS4 and Xbox One version, and if the graphics need a big downgrade to run on the Switch, hey, that's perfectly understandable. The Switch isn't as strong as the PS4 and Xbox One, but as long as it's got the same features, people who won't mind graphics, I think a lot of people will go ahead and pick up the Switch version, because the advantage of that version would be that you can take it anywhere. You can play it on the TV or take it with you anywhere you go. So, yeah, please release a Switch version. Anyways, you guys saw the custom cover. Here it is for 2K18 with The Undertaker on there. This was made by Shandy. For this video, I was like, you know what? I want a custom cover for this. And I went ahead, contacted Shandy. You guys have seen a bunch of his designs, mainly for Supercard in my past videos. And this time around, he made me a badass cover for 2K18 with The Undertaker on there. I was like, you know what? I think it's between Roman Reigns and The Undertaker when it comes to who the cover star is going to be. And I was like, alright, could you make me an Undertaker cover? He made 3 of them. This was the last one. I think this was the best one. It looks really cool, and I think it's really fitting seeing as how he just had his last match this Sunday at Mania. And one of the reasons why I think Taker could be the cover star, here's the thing, despite me wanting to see Showcase Mode replaced with Season Mode, I can also see them bringing back Showcase Mode with The Undertaker this time around to relive some of The Undertaker's past feuds. And if they do that, I can definitely see Taker being the cover star for 2K18. So that is pretty much it for my wish list. If you guys want to go ahead and check out more cool designs by Shandy, make sure to follow him on Twitter. The link will be in the comment section or description box. He makes some really cool designs, so go ahead, check him out, follow him on Twitter. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you can click that like button, and let's get this over 350 likes. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.